Tavo kathamritam tapta jivanam kabiviriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shri Madatatam Bhuvigrinandiye Bhuridayana. The nectar of the words is the life for those who are scourged by the world. The words which have been uttered by the knowers of truth, which wipe out sins, the very hearing of which is beneficial, which are beautiful, pleasing to the ears, pleasing to the hearts, which are inexhaustible. Those who recount them on the earth are the givers of plenty. Talks with Swami Vivekananda, page 62. Solar eclipse, nature of meditation, practical hints on meditation, need for renunciation. That is the topic. For some days past, Swamiji has been staying at Balaram Boshe's house, Bagbazar. There will be a total eclipse of the sun today. The disciple is to cook for Swamiji this morning, and on his presenting himself, Swamiji said, well, the cooking must be in the East Bengal style, and we must finish our dinner before the eclipse comes. Before that, there is some portion, which is not in English, that when Swamiji was in Calcutta, in Balaram's house, many visitors, students, would come to him inquiring about they are asking their questions, and he used to talk to them and encourage them and inspire them. So they were overwhelmed observing Swamiji's talent, magnanimous personality, and new thoughts, new ideas. He used to give new direction to this young generation. Solar eclipse. According to our custom, during the eclipse you are not supposed to eat. Either you eat before and after. And if there is any food at home, that should be thrown out. After the eclipse, you will have to cook again everything fresh. That is the custom in our part. And people will go take bath in the Ganges and they pray. One Swami said that, Swami, perhaps this is all superstition. Swami Turiyananda said, take it for granted it is superstition, but do you know what? Millions of people at that time think of God. They take bath in the Ganges, they pray, they meditate. So, apparently it may be superstition, but at that time if millions of people think about God, it creates an atmosphere. Look at 25th December. people generally don't go to the church on usually, but on that day, people love to go to the church and pray. So think of that, millions and millions of people all over this country, they go to the church and pray. So millions of people's devotion creates an atmosphere. So Swami is telling, though you are thinking this solar eclipse, this is a kind of superstition, but see the deep meaning of the that so many people are thinking of God today. That he said. The disciple at 8 o'clock brought all the groceries, fish, everything. Swamiji said, you know, I like to enjoy food of the East Bengal. So you cook according to their style. And Yoginma was directing the disciple. She was a famous cook. She used to cook for Sri Ramakrishna. So she is also guiding this disciple. He is a postmaster, perhaps he doesn't have much experience of cooking. And Swamiji was teasing him. Arey macha jhul. Jhol means soup in Bengali. So actually word is jhol. But East Bengal they call jhul. So Swamiji was teasing. Hey, make your macha jhul. He was imitating. You see, in Bengal, the Calcutta language is the standard. Every 40 miles away, their language changes. When Dhaka people, Chittagong people speak Bengali, I do not understand. They are speaking Bengali, I am a Bengali, but I do not understand their Bengali. Amazing, their words and this and that. Sha, they call ha. Instead of shala, they call hala. Just like Spanish. Mission, viejo. Actually, V-I-J becomes, their J becomes H. Jesus becomes Jesus. That is the Spanish way they pronounce. Same thing in Bengal. The language, you know, they change. So Swamiji was teasing him. He will cook rice, moong dal, koi mushroom, climbing fish soup, and fish with the sour preparation, and the bitter preparation. See, all cooking was almost done. Swamiji finished his bath and he sat for lunch. But still cooking was not complete. So Swamiji said, I sat just to start serving. In the meantime, the other dish, I am hungry. Just give me food. Swamiji was enjoying and just his cooking and encouraging. If you want to eat good food, you will have to encourage the cook. And if I discourage the cook, that cook, that person is not going to cook for you. And Swami Vaseshanandaji, mother's disciple in Portland in 1953, I went to visit him. And he cooked some rice pudding for me. And in the bottom was burnt. When it is burnt, it's very difficult to eat, you know. So what happened, he has come and said, how is my rice pudding? Well, it's very good. Yes, the disciple of mother cooked for me, and how can I say bad? But American people are very, in that respect, are very polite. They are very gentle. I cooked some okra in Tubuka Monastery. I love okra. So I asked the brothers, other monks, how is it? Swami, it is interesting. I thought interesting means good. Uma later and how many they didn't like it. Oh, slimy, you know, okra slimy. Oh, Swami, it is interesting. In the beginning, I could not understand American language. I asked one nun, how are you? I'm okay. Then I heard from other nun, she said, Swami, she's sick. I go, no, she says she's okay. Oh, Swami, you do not understand our language. I had a terrible problem in Hollywood. One nun came in Santa Barbara. Swami, I put my dog to sleep. Uncle, that's very good. I thought that perhaps the dog was suffering from insomnia. They gave some medicine and the dog got good sleep. No, later on I heard they took the dog and gave an injection and killed the dog. Put to sleep, my goodness, I could not understand what put to sleep means. Then in my lecture I said, your American language is so sweet, perhaps some lady will come and tell me, Swami, I put my husband to sleep. And my audience laughed. I do not understand your American usage. Swamiji was telling, your soup is too much hot, you put too much chili. Then he said, this dish came like Burjuan. Then he ate some dessert was Sandesh. Then Swamiji was smoking and said, যে ভালো রাঁধতে পারে না সে ভালো সাধু হতে পারে না. The person who does not cook well, he cannot be a good monk. Food becomes tasty when a person's mind is pure. That's what Swamiji said. If your mind is pure, your cooking will be very tasty. But the person who can cook well, he could be a good sadhu. The cooking has been almost completed when Swamiji came in after his bath and sat down for dinner, putting his own seat and plate. Do bring in anything finished, quick, he said. I can't wait, I am burning with hunger. While eating, Swamiji was pleased with the curry and with bitters and remarked, never have I enjoyed such nice thing, but none of the things is so hot as your soup, which is just after the style of Burjuan district, said Swamiji, tasting this sour preparation. He then brought his dinner to a close and after washing, sat on his bedstead inside the room while having his after-dinner smoke. Swamiji remarked to the disciple, whoever cannot cook well cannot become a good sadhu. Unless the mind is pure, good tasteful cooking is not possible. Soon after this, the sound of bells and conch shells, etc. rose from all quarters when Swamiji said, now that the eclipse has begun, let me sleep and you please massage my feet. Gradually the eclipse covered the whole of the sun's disk and all around fell the darkness of dusk. He slept 15 minutes. Well, there were 15 or 20 minutes left for the eclipse to pass off. Swamiji rose from his siesta and after washing jocosely and while taking a smoke, well, people say that whatever one does during an eclipse, one gets that millionfold in future. So I thought that the mother Mahamaya did not ordain that this body might have good sleep. And if I could get some sleep during the eclipse, I might have plenty of it in future. But it all failed, for I slept only 15 minutes at the most. That is another proper superstition, you may say. Say, during the eclipse, whatever you do, that you will come thousandfold. If you think of God, you will get more virtues. So he says, so if I can get good sleep during eclipse, I shall get more sleep. But God did not write too much sleep for me. You see, those who have tremendous Sattva guna inside. It's just hard for them to sleep. They get so much joy, spiritual joy inside. They do not want to sleep. Sri Ramakrishna we sleep 2-3 hours a day, all day. Only 2-3 hours. He didn't know he doesn't need too much sleep because most of the time he was in Samadhi. You see, you sleep means your body is exhausted, you need some rest. But if your mind and body is all calm, serene, you don't need too much sleep. Then some other disciples came and sat, and Swamiji, nobody ever spoke, gave a lecture in front of Swamiji. That Swamiji asked his disciples, now will you lecture in front of me, I like to listen. So the disciple got up and he explained a verse from the Katha Upanishad. Paranchi khani betrinath sambhu tasmat parang paishyanti nantratman kosidhira pratyagatman vaikshat amrita chakshu amrita tamishwan. I repeat this verse quite often. It helps my meditation. God created the mind with outgoing tendencies. That is the way mind goes through the sense organs to all directions. Shambhu. Tasmat parang pashyanti nantaratman. So he sees outside. He does not see inside. Koshidhira, some steady people. Pratyagatmana vaikshat, with a view to realizing the pratyagatma, Atman, within. Avrita jakshu. Avrita means close. He shuts the senses, eyes and other organs, so that his mind can go within and can behold the self, Atman, God. That is the verse. And he explained that thing. Then he mentioned that, in spiritual life, Guru Bhakti, devotion to the Guru, and Tyager Mohima, and the greatness of non-attachment. He explained these two things are vital for the knowledge of Brahman. So he was a very learned, scholarly person, the disciple, Sharad Babu. So after saying this, he sat down. Swamiji clapped hands that his disciple gave a good talk. Very good, very good. You spoke very well. Swamiji encouraged him. Then Swamiji asked Swami Shuddhananda and Prakashananda. They are two brothers. Hey, now you get up, give lectures. Shuddhananda got up and gave a beautiful lecture on meditation. And Prakashananda also gave a talk. It was 1 hour before evening. Then Swamiji asked, if you have any questions, please ask. Shuddhananda, what is the real nature of meditation? What is meditation? Swamiji, meditation is the focusing of the mind on some object. If the mind acquires concentration on one object, it can be so concentrated on any object whatsoever. I read, I think it is some Purana, Vayu Purana or Varaha Purana. I cannot tell you the exact what you need. Only perhaps 12 seconds or something like that, if you can keep your mind in one place, that is one unit concentration. 12 seconds or 12 breaths. 12 breaths, if you can keep your mind in one place, then 1 unit concentration. And 12 multiplying by 12 means 144 breaths, or 100 and take it for 144 seconds. That means 2 minutes, 24 seconds. 2 minutes, 24 seconds. If you can keep your mind on a particular object, that is 1 unit meditation. And 144 multiplying 12, which is 1728 seconds. That means 24 minutes, some seconds. If you can keep your mind on one a particular object, that is 1 unit samadhi. Just when you sit for meditation, think, can I not keep my mind 5 minutes? Only 5 minutes on a particular object. It comes by repetition of practice. No, 5 minutes. Watch your clock. 5 minutes, I shall not think anything else, only this one. Do you know what it happens? It will enhance your willpower. I can do it. If you can do 5 minutes, you can do 10 minutes. If you can do 10 minutes, you can do 15 minutes. In this way, we increase the timing. How much your mind can be connected with God. Whole mystery is in that practice. And before practice, it needs preparation. As I always said in the last Sunday when I gave that lecture, preparation for meditation, it's extremely important. If stomach is completely empty, spasm, you can't get meditation. If your stomach is too full, you cannot meditate. Just moderate. Drink a glass of water, loose clothing. So that tight clothing is not good for meditation. Just sit comfortably and relax and move and concentrate. That is the way it goes. Disciple. Meditation is made in the scriptures of 2 kinds of meditation. One having some object and the other objectless. What is meant by all that, and which of the 2 is the higher one? Another question. Object means we meditate on our chosen deity, or Ishta Devata. And objectless meditation means empty. Make the mind empty. Abhava pratyaya, abhava. Don't allow my mind to think anything. Objectless. Swamiji, first the practice of meditation has to proceed with some one object before the mind. Once I used to concentrate my mind on some black point. Ultimately, during those days, I could not see the point anymore, nor notice that the point was before me at all. The mind used to be no more. No wave of functioning would rise, as if it were all an ocean without any breath of air. In that state, I used to experience glimpses of supersensuous truths. So I think the practice of meditation, even with some trifling external object, leads to material concentration. But it is true that the mind very easily attains calmness when one practices meditation with anything on which one's mind is most apt to settle down. This is the reason why we have in this country so much worship of the images of gods and goddesses. And what wonderful art developed from such worship, but no more of that now. Meditation on object. Do you know how does it, Sri Ramakrishna said? Do you see there's a big tree? Yes. Do you see a branch in Upper, do you see that big branch of the tree? Yes. Do you see a bird seated on that branch? Yes. Do you see above that is the moon? Yes. Next to the moon, do you see that big star? Yes. Then do you see there are 7 stars are there? Yes. Do you see that corner star? Yes. Next to the corner star, do you see a tiny star? Yes. That is the star of Arundhati. So the teacher will took your mind from one step, from gross to the subtle, subtle to the subtler, subtler to the subtlest. That is the way it goes. In the Hindus have a lot of advantage. Durga, Kali, Jagadhatri, Shiva, Vishnu, so many gods, Rama, Krishna, so many gods, goddesses, avatars. Concentrate any one of them. As I always say, meditation becomes very easy if you have love. If you love somebody, your mind dwells on that someone. If you love something, your mind dwells on that thing. Meditation becomes very easy if you can develop love. I shall remember a very touching story. Mr. and Mrs. Xavier went to Mayavati to help Swamiji. It is in the interior, 68 miles interior of the Himalayas. We have an ashram there, Advaita ashram. Her husband died. He was a captain in the British Army. Became very devoted to Swamiji. Mother Xavier. Then somebody asked that you are an English woman living in this remote part of the Himalayas, giving up all of your luxury and everything. Don't you feel lonely? Homesick? No. I think of him. I think of Swamiji. Her love for Swamiji. And Swamiji occupied her heart. That comes a lot, I tell you frankly. You'll have to love something. There is no other way. That kind of love, a Western woman living in the remote part of the Himalayas with all austerity, but physical discomfort or amenities or all these luxuries. No, I don't care. My Guru told me to stay here and work. That's all. When Swamiji was a young student, that he used to practice concentration. He will put a pencil a point on the wall and then concentrate. That is the way he used to practice concentration. The one day what happened, do you know what? From the wall, an image came out and was moving toward him. He found a sannyasin came out and he ran away out of fear. Later on he says, I was so scared. I was a young student. I ran away. But it was Buddha who came to tell me something that he told. He used to practice concentration that way. Putting a dot mark on the wall, concentrate on the dot. Sri Ramakrishna, when he was trying to get Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he could not put their mind. So his guru came, took a broken piece of glass and pressed between his eyebrows, concentrate here. he pressed that broken glass between his eyebrows. Bas, he concentrated there and merged into Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna did same thing to Swamiji. One day he was complaining, come here. He put his thumb and the nail, he pressed Swamiji's between eyebrows. Concentrate here on this pain. You know, when we read all these things, we understand how these people are trained by Sri Ramakrishna. Hindu gods and goddesses are very helpful. You see, our gods and goddesses are all beautiful. You will not see a single ugly gods and goddesses. Our gods and goddesses are full of youth and full of beauty. When you go to the Hindu temple, you see beautiful marble images. Beautiful, all images. They help. The fact, however, is that the objects of meditation can never be the same in the case of all men. People have proclaimed and preached to others only those external objects to which they held on to become perfected in meditation, oblivious of the fact later on that these objects are aids to the attainment of perfect mental calmness. Men have extolled them beyond everything else. They have wholly concerned themselves with the means, getting comparatively unmindful of the end. The real aim is to make the mind functionless. But this cannot be got at unless one becomes absorbed in some object. How to make the mind functionless? Sometimes I repeat this mantra also. Manodrishyamidam sarvam yat kinchit sacharacharam manohi amani bhave dvaito na upalibhyate. That is my another verse for my meditation. Manodrishyamidam sarvam. Whatever you see in this world, it is nothing but the projection of the mind. Mind is the seer, and you see this beautiful universe. Men, women, trees, plants, car, home, food. It is all drishya. Seeing. Mind is seeing everything. Jatkinchit sacharacharam. Whatever mobile, immobile, moving, unmoving objects you see, they're all are the scenes of the mind. Mind is the seer. Manohi amani bhave, when the mind becomes mindless, functionless. Dvaito na upalibhyate, the duality is not perceived. This duality will disappear when the mind becomes functionless. That is the goal. All problem is in duality. We want to banish this duality. The duality is in the mind. If I can stop the mind, the world stops. Time stops. The moment mind stops, the world stops, time stops, space stops, everything stops. How to stop this mind? Disciple. But if the mind becomes completely engrossed and identified with some object, how can it give us the consciousness of Brahman? Good question. If the mind is absorbed in painting, in cooking, in studying, in writing, completely absorbed. Swamiji, yes? Though the mind at first assumes the form of the object, Yet later on, the consciousness of that object vanishes. Then only the experience of pure isness remains. Do you know what he is talking about? He is talking about vritti, thought waves. Your vritti. Our minds are continuously raising the vrittis, thought waves, one after another. We cannot help it. That is the way mind goes. Always thinking something, thinking something. As long as you are in waking stage, dream stage, your mind is thinking. He is talking about when the vritti stops. Patanjali says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Controlling the thought waves of the mind is called yoga. Next aphorism, tada drushtu sarupya avasthanam. When that thing comes, at that time the seer is established on the real self, on the Atman. Isness. That is the verse we've raised in the Kathopanishad. Osti iti upalabdebhahos tattva bhavena bhavayut. Osti, at that time, isness. I exist, I exist. Isness, isness. This realm is, it is hard to discuss this realm. This is the realm of experience. We can give a long lecture on this state, but it will not be understood until you experience yourself. Disciple, well, sir, how is it that desires rise even after mental concentration is acquired? It happens. My mind is very calm, serene, I am in the shrine, I have fantastic experience. The moment I come out from the shrine, boom, boom, boom. Again, various thoughts and problems and worries and anxieties started to arise in the mind. Swamiji, those are the outcome of previous samskaras, deep-rooted impressions or tendencies. When Buddha was in the point of merging in samadhi, superconsciousness, Mara made his appearance. There was really no Mara extraneous to the mind. It was only the external reflection of the mind's previous samskaras. It's a beautiful example. I remember in 1982 I went to Bodh Gaya from Benares. The abbot was our known close friend, Bhikkhu Jagat Jyoti Bhikkhu. He is the abbot of the Bodh. He took me for lunch in a Ceylonese monastery. So they are serving dry fish. Actually, the Buddhists eat fish. He told me, don't eat that thing. It is very terrible odor. I could not eat it. Anyhow, he told me that this Bodhi tree which we have now in Bodh Gaya is the third generation. The first generation was destroyed by the British. Then one branch of that original tree was taken to Kandy in the Sri Lanka. So from there they brought another sapling and planted in the same place where Buddha attained Nirvana in Bodh Gaya, behind the Buddha temple. Oh, many people come for pilgrimage. Many Buddhists from all over the world go there. So he showed me that after illumination, Buddha moved around 49 days thinking that shall I share my experience to the world? So Mara, Satan came and said, no, enjoy yourself, don't share with others. Buddha said, no, I must share with others. So he came to Sarnath, near Kashmir, near Benares. And there he started to preach. Anyhow, what Swamiji was talking here, that Mara was in Buddha's mind. It did not come from outside. Previous samskara, Satan, good and bad, both are in your mind. It is all samskara, they do not come from outside. You have fear. That is all inside you. I remember once in our village, one young boy was scared of ghost. And he was shouting, ghost, 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 shouting. Somebody came and just started to slap him right and left. Then he was, why are you beating me? But it just diverts his mind from ghost. Sometimes we imagine, somebody is chasing me, this is all imagination. Something happened, somebody is trying to watch me, kill me, this is all inside samskaras. All are in the mind. That he was talking about. Mara, that Satan was in Buddha's mind. Disciple. But one hears of various fearful experiences prior to the attainment of perfection. Are they all mental projections? Do you know what is disciple talking about? There are some Kali worshippers are there. They worship the Divine Mother in the cremation ground at midnight. So there they see some ghosts, some spirits frighten them to destroy his sadhana so that he may not make progress to see the Divine Mother. That those who are born and brought up in the Tantra tradition, they know all these things. Various obstacles come in spiritual life. So he is talking about that. Even in Yoga Shastra, 4 stages. Pratham Kalpika, Madhubhumika, Prajnajyoti, Vatikranta Bhavaniyo. These are the 4 stages of attainment, highest attainment in yoga. Prathamo Kalpika. You decided that I shall lead a good spiritual life. You are trying to make a routine, you may set up a shrine, you are trying to sit. That is Pratham Kalpika, just the beginner. Then Madhubhumika. After practicing meditation for some time, you started to get some taste, joy. Then you have pretty control over your mind and the senses, you see. Zityu, that is the second stage. When in the second stage, do you know what happens at that time? Next is Prajnajyoti. Prajnajyoti means you have X-ray vision. When Maya comes, you can see somebody has come to tempt me. You can see the ugliness of Maya. So at that time you throw away Maya. Your mind at that time very pure and one-pointed in the third stage. So before you go to the third stage, temptations come. Many yogis fall. People read the Yoga Sutra. Kamaniyavo Kanta. At that time even gods come to tempt you. Because gods think that we are bound by enjoyment, celestial enjoyment, and this person is trying to get liberation, we shall bring him down. So they will tell you celestial nymphs, all beautiful girls, to break your meditation. which is in Yoga Sutra. Then, if you can overcome the temptation, the third stage, Pragya Jyoti. And Pragya Jyoti, then Utikranta Bhavanya. At that time, you are higher stage, you are above Maya. Nothing can tempt you. At that time, you are a perfect yogi. These are the 4 stages that he was talking about. That in Tantrism, there are so many temptations and fear, all those things come. Swamiji. What else but that? The aspiring soul, of course, does not make out at that time that all these are external manifestations of his own mind. But all the same, there is nothing outside of it. Even what you see as this world does not exist outside. It is all a mental projection. When the mind becomes functionless, it reflects the Brahman consciousness. Then the vision of all spheres of existence may supervene. Yam yam lokam manusasang vibhati. Whatsoever sphere one may call up in mind. Whatsoever is resolved or become realized at once, he who even on attaining that stage of unfalsified self-determination preserves his watchfulness and is free from the bondages of desire, verily attains to the knowledge of Brahman. But he who loses his balance after reaching this stage gets the manifold powers, but falls up from the supreme goal. He is telling, it is from Mamunjaka Upanishad, toward the end. Yam yam lokam manusasang vibhati. After illumination, whatever thoughts come in his mind, whatever desires arise in his mind, all come to him. I want good food will come. I want a good car will come. Whatever you will desire, that thing will come. And illumined soul, at that time, he has control over this Maya. So Maya brings everything to it, that Prakriti brings everything to this knower of Brahman. Whatever he wants. There is a big discussion about it in Brahma Sutra, whether illumined soul can have bad desires or not. After illumination, can he have any bad desires? Can he perform any bad actions or not? Not possible. Because he went through this and went to the top. At that time, Shunichaiva Shapakesa, but if he does that, then what is the difference between a dog and an illumined soul? A dog eats all kinds of garbage and filth. Then illumined soul, well, no, not possible. He sees the real knower of Brahman, the real yogi, does not have any false step. Because he went through all these processes, conquering all the temptations. Now, but who knows, Mahamaya can tempt, it is in this Chonji. Even Gyani gets caught sometimes. Do you know why? If you have ego. Oh, I conquered the lust. More lust will come to you. Holy Mother says, somebody says, Mother, I have no lust. Hey, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Never be proud. Yam yam lokam manasa sambhivati. Whatever worlds he wants, that thing come to him, an illumined soul. So saying, Swamiji began to repeat Shiva, Shiva, and then continued. There is no way, none whatsoever, to the solution of the profound mystery of this life, except through renunciation. Renunciation, renunciation, and renunciation. Let this be the one motto of your lives. Sarvavastu bhayannitam bhuvininam vairaggame bhavayam. For men, all things on earth are infected with fear. Vairaggam, renunciation alone, constitutes fearlessness. Vishuddha sattva kamate jangsya kaman, tang tang lokang jayate tangsya kaman, tasmat atpaggama yarchayat bhuti kama. Some people go to the illumined soul. Do you know why? Give me a blessing so that I can have a son, or I can have money, or I can have this thing. One doctor's wife came to Holy Mother. Mother, please bless so that my husband can have a good income. Do you know what your mother said? My sweet daughter, I cannot give that blessing. Your husband's income depends upon my many children's disease and suffering. A doctor's income depends upon other sufferings and pain and disease. So my son, I shall not, my daughter, I cannot give that blessing to you. Your son is my disciple, your husband is my disciple, I cannot bless that way. That let him have lot of money, The other people, the patients, they are also my children. Your husband is my children, your patients are, his patients are also my children. This is from Vairagya Shatakam. Vageragvayam kule chutivyayam. Sarvavastu bhayannitam bhuvi vairagyame bhavayam. In this world, if you have too much money, fear of robbers, beauty, fear of losing beauty, life, fear of death, everything is fraught with fear. Renunciation alone makes one fearless. One Swami asked Swami Vivekananda, Maharaj, could you tell me how to get peace? I want peace. Swami Vivekananda answered, you really want peace in your life? I said, yes. Repeat this one as a mantra. Vairagyam eva abhayam. Vairagyam eva abhayam. Vairagyam eva abhayam. Vairagyam means renunciation, non-attachment. Eva, verily, truly. Abhayam, fearless. That means renunciation alone makes one fearless. You have no fear if you have renunciation, non-attachment. Fear comes when you have attachment. That is a beautiful chapter. Swamiji talked about meditation, how meditation works. There are more he will give. When Swamiji is talking about meditation, he is talking from his experience. In another place, he will tell in this book what happens in final analysis. Mind becomes the subject, mind becomes the object. You meditate on your own self. The subject and object become one. That is a very high state. The Upanishad calls it Shema Himni. At that time, Atman stands on his own glory, not on someone else, on his own glory. Shwe, own, Mohimni, greatness, stands on his own greatness. All right, up to this tonight. Good subject. When we read Swamiji, it's so powerful. Very powerful. Jai Ma.